Hey guys, welcome to day 4 of the Countdown to the Cross Challenge. I'm so glad that you're still hanging with me. I'm Jen from Grace and Color, and today's scripture reference is all about the cornerstone. So we're going to be reviewing just one of the teachings of Christ during that week between the triumphal entry, which we looked at yesterday, and the crucifixion, right? So there's this week there. And there's so much jam-packed into this week. I mean, so much, the week of Christ's life. So today we're going to be really kind of reviewing a parable, essentially, that Christ told while he was ministering during this time. And the reading comes from Matthew 21, verses 33 through 46. That's the primary reading. The account is also found in Mark in chapter 12, verses 1 through 12. Also found in Luke, chapter 20, verses 9 through 19. It is such a powerful, powerful message. One of the things that I find that's interesting about it is, of course, we all have heard, well, maybe you haven't. Most of us have heard about the stone that the builder rejected, right? If you go back to Psalm 118, verses 22 and 23, it's mentioned. And then if you go forward after Christ's death in Acts chapter 4, verses 8 through 21. All of these references are in your email, and I'm putting them at the bottom of the YouTube video as well. So you don't have to remember all this. Also, the two primary passages are in the reading guide, if you got the reading guide that was part of the Countdown to the Cross kit. If not, you can certainly find them, though, in the text. So no worries about that. I know I'm spouting off a lot of different verses. But basically, there's mention of the stone that the builder rejected back in Psalm, and then again in Acts. And then all throughout Scripture, there's more references than this. And as bonus points, you can go and look and see what other references they are. But what we need to know historically is this. If you're not familiar at all with what this means, in that time, Israeli architecture was using stone masonry instead of just rocks that were put on top of each other. They're actually cutting stone in this time. And so what the practice was they would cut one stone. They would find the stone that was the most perfectly level, like on all edges, to be the cornerstone, right? Because if it's not level at the top, because nothing was perfect, right? If it's not level at the top, let's say it's a little angle, then the whole wall is going to be off, right? Or if it's not completely rectangular, it's going to throw everything off. So they would find the stone that is the most perfect, okay? And then it's typically a little bit larger than the other stones. It's also where historically they would put the name of the king that commissioned the building, or the name of the date, the name of, the builder, that kind of a thing. And that it's called the cornerstone, okay? And so that's what Jesus is being compared to in this. And what they're saying is that the builder rejected the perfect stone, right? As they didn't see it for the value that it was. But indeed, Christ is that cornerstone, right? And he showed himself to be after his death and resurrection. And that's what's all about in Acts. So there's so much I could say with this, but I'm not going to, because I would rather you read it for yourself. There's a couple things I want you to do for your challenge today. Number one, I want you to start off by praying that God will kind of show you a fresh perspective on this passage and these passages, because they may be familiar to you, but you have something new to learn from them. Okay, today. I did. You will too, I promise. So pray for fresh understanding, and then I want you to read this passage in Matthew 21, verses 33 through 46. You can read the other accounts as well, but just choose one of the accounts and read this parable. Consider the what of the parable. For example, what is the vineyard? Who are the builders? Who is the rejected stone? What is Christ talking about? And then we're going to go a little bit deeper, and I want you to consider the why of the parable. Why did Christ even tell this parable? What is the purpose behind the teaching? Was it for them? Was it for us? There's no right or wrong answer, but I want you to kind of think through that. Then the next thing I want you to do is, if you have time, read the account in Acts that I mentioned, chapter 4, verses 8 through 21, and then also Psalm 118, 22, and 23, the reference to the stone after the resurrection, the reference to the stone before Christ's birth. And then let's kind of put it all together in your mind and see how it all fits together. And how does that alter or change or adjust or maybe just verify, just solidify your understanding of the significance of the cross and of Christ's work on the cross? Okay, so think about those things. And as a bonus, okay, some texts it mentions cornerstone and some it mentions capstone. Those are actually two different things in ancient architecture. The question is, what is the difference? And how does Christ both of these? So that's just a little bonus to think about. It's kind of take you down a little bit of a word study if you have time to do that. If you don't now, don't worry about it. Just read the passage. If that's all you have time to do, just read the passage of Scripture today and pray that God will show you something new. All right, and then I would love to see you visually represent it. You know I would. So I would love to see you doodle, to hand letter, to journal, to paint, to do something that represents this visually in your mind so that you will remember it and you remember the lessons that you were learning. You can do that in the kit. If you purchased it, you can do it in a journal. You can do it on a legal pad, like I do a lot of times. Look at my handwriting. Look at that. That's my notes. Is that a nightmare? So I just encourage you to do that today. Just really, really sit down, look at this passage, and let God speak to you through it. And then I will be back tomorrow. I hope y'all have a super day. And let's remember Christ is our cornerstone. Okay. Am I showing too much skin?